Hey, what's up, everybody? Have you ever thought about what you would do in a doomsday scenario where the world as you know it come crashing down and you can't go to the store no more to get food, or you can't turn on your faucet anymore to get water? Are you prepared for a certain situation like that? My name is Tyler Adams and I'm a doomsday prepper, and I've been doing this for a few years now, kind of about mid to the start of COVID. And that's kind of why I started. I seen how things can so easily be, broken down, and how easy the infrastructure that we take for granted can just be dismantled, and how quick. So after kind of that, seeing that, I wanted to be prepared for next time, or if an even worse situation was to happen, I wanted to be prepared. So I started looking into it and how to be prepared, what all it takes, the skills that are necessary to be prepared in a doomsday situation. And I just want to kind of pass on some of that knowledge with some of you all. It'll be nothing but a benefit to you. And so I'll start here. The first source I want to talk about here is from John Morphus. He's an experienced survivalist and prepper. And he wrote an article called Doomsday Prepping 101, a complete guide. And in that article, it states that the beginning of prepping for a doomsday scenario is to assess your risks. So, with us living here in Kentucky, there's a few obvious risks that come to mind. Flooding seems to be a real bad one here in Kentucky, especially eastern Kentucky. Flooding, and we're right on a fault line, so earthquake and stuff like that. Say an earthquake hits, which I've felt an earthquake here once in Kentucky when I was in high school. Say real bad, big one hits, knocks the power grid out, and you ain't got power for months. Are you gonna be, waiting for a handout? Are you gonna be able to take care of yourself for an extended period of time? Do you have the supplies and the food and the gear set aside for a certain situation? You know what I mean? Got another source here. So yeah, first of all, assess your risks. Think about what and where you're at, and even not, just not Kentucky, but say you're at a concert or something, and there's a bunch of people. Where are your exits? I'm saying? Assess your risk. If something was to go down, are you going to be the person in the middle of the stampede trying to get out of that theater or whatever? And what are you going to do if something breaks out? I got another source here. This one's by Carl Briggs. He's an avid mountaineer, which mountaineers are just natural survivalists. I mean, you got to know how to survive going up a mountain in those colder climates usually. Anyways, he wrote an article called Doomsday Prepping Supplies Checklist, and on this article, that's just basically a checklist of supplies, the basic supplies needed to be prepared for a doomsday situation, and most any doomsday situation. And he states that the three essentials are food, water, and shelter, which you might have already known that. It's easy. Duh, food, water, and shelter. But think about that. Are you prepared? Do you have food set aside? Dried food and food that's got a shelf life that's not going to go bad in a couple days or whatever. Food that doesn't require a refrigerator. Some of the best ways to prep and store food is canning. In the article Homestead Survival Canning for Preppers, Jim Porcar explains that canning is one of the very best ways to preserve food and make it last. And you can can just about anything. There's certain ways of doing it, and you want to make sure you do it right. But if you don't can food yourself, you can buy canned food, and that food would be good for years. It's got a good shelf life. And my last article here, I'm already over my 4 minutes. The survival journal called 21 Most Important Basic Survival Skills Everybody Should Know. Survival skills are essential. You might have the gear, but if you don't have the skills to use that gear correctly, then you're not going to survive for long. Skills like how to make a fire and things like that. But a team of survival experts in that article talk about the very basic skills needed to survive most doomsday situations. Things like that, what gear to pack, and how to use the gear. And the one thing they talk about I found so interesting and true is being observant and aware of your surroundings is the number one first line of defense in any possible situation. If you are aware of your surroundings and what's going on around you, and you can act and you're not caught off guard, that's the very number one thing. Be aware. That's why things like drugs and alcohol, you're not going to be aware if you're all messed up. And I get you want to have fun sometimes, but it's just important that you are aware of your surroundings. And that's in doomsday situations or self-defense situations. Just be aware of your surroundings. Stay level-headed. Anyways, my conclusion I got here is, now this is only scratching the surface of doomsday prepping. But if crap hit the fan and the world as you know it came to an end, are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be beneficial or an asset to yourself and your family? Or are you going to be a liability, dragging them down, possibly getting them killed because they're pulling your weight? So that's just something to think about. I encourage each and every one of y'all who listens to this to look into some prepping and just get the bare essentials and get your mind right on what you would do in certain situations. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.